Okay, strap in for this one, y'all. What we're seeing right now is multiple critical components of our economic and political network showing simultaneous strain. Think of it like a rubber band. It stretches and holds tension, then it snaps. That snap is what complexity scientists call a mixed transition. You can cross the threshold before the visible breakdown, but once past that point, the cascading disruption becomes extremely difficult, if not impossible, to stop. With the government slowdown that went into effect October 1st, food price surges, 30,000 plus jobs lost in the latest ADP report, with downward revisions and all the other factors, I believe we may be nearing, or may have already passed, that threshold. I could be wrong on timing or whether we've reached full transition, but the pattern is concerning. Zoom out. The US is a complex system of complex systems. 330 million people, trillions in transactions, massive global markets. Complexity usually makes us resilient, but under certain stress conditions, it can become a vulnerability. Disruption spreads through interconnected systems. One shock can ripple outward, magnifying as it goes. More abrupt than cascading failure is what scientists call a mixed transition. Small issues accumulate quietly. Everything appears stable until a minor shock triggers a structural shift. Once that shift begins, reversing it becomes increasingly unlikely. Early signs include erratic system behavior, slower recovery from disruptions, and increased correlation between events. Since 2020, we've seen signs of systemic drift, erosion of trust, fragile logistics, fiscal stress, and heightened division. 2025, however, presents qualitatively different challenges. Multiple foundational systems are being impacted at once. Policy interventions into private sectors, accelerated administrative restructurings, global trade disruptions, and sharp diplomatic shifts. Financial indicators are signaling concern. Bond markets are uneasy. Key tech valuations face significant correction risk. Regional banks remain vulnerable. Unemployment has begun rising across sectors. Tariffs are driving up costs while reducing exports. Housing defaults are at a 6-year high. Healthcare costs may soon spike. Federal revenue is under pressure. Emergency funds provide short-term cover but face structural limits. Local governments in major cities are absorbing cost burdens with tightening budgets. Agricultural exports have fallen. Global partners like China have pulled key import lines. Farm stress is increasing. Grocery prices are rising month over month, with additional pressure forecasted for the holiday period. Distribution systems are beginning to show instability. Institutional leadership in areas like national security is undergoing internal realignment. Professional norms are encountering political pressure. This creates uncertainty within organizational structures and impacts decision-making under stress. Data feedback loops weaken. Strategic awareness declines, and historically such blind spots have led to increased risk. Hypothetical domestic response scenarios are difficult to execute. The U.S. is vast. Managing coordinated operations across such a landscape during economic strain would be logistically and financially challenging. Budget limits, personnel stress, and shifting internal priorities all reduce long-term sustainability. If a system-wide transition were to occur, it may happen within weeks or months, depending on many accelerating variables. Treasury shortfalls, debt limits, or confidence shocks could be triggering factors. If international holders of U.S. debt shift positions, financial strain could compound. Inflation may rise, food costs may spike, pressure builds. And in some historical cases, influential stakeholders begin reconsidering their alignment. Bottom line, when multiple systems face simultaneous pressure, financial, institutional, operational, logistical, the risk profile changes. What we may be watching isn't a single breakdown, but an unfolding transformation. So just stay aware out there.